This is the historic old harbor of Veracruz, Mexico's chief port of entry and the original starting point of the Spanish conquest. For it was in this locale over 4 centuries ago that Cortez, with his valiant band of Spanish conquistadores, met the representatives of Moctezuma and later followed them 300 miles inland to the Aztec capital, which is now known as the City of Mexico. Commanding a conspicuous place at the entrance to the harbor is an old Spanish fort known as the Castillo de San Juan, the last Spanish stronghold on Mexican soil at the close of the War for Independence. The fact that this picturesque old landmark has withstood the incessant pounding of the sea for more than 400 years is indisputable evidence of how solidly it was constructed. Until the beginning of the 20th century, it was used as a penal settlement, and its gruesome dungeons of confinement are silent witnesses to the human suffering that must have taken place here in the tragic days of yore. In recent years, the port of Veracruz has been thoroughly renovated, and many of its architectural ruins have been supplanted by fine modern buildings, including one of the best apartment hotels in Mexico. Nevertheless, a panorama of the city itself reveals that most of the old Spanish architecture still remains, perpetuating the city's reputation for being the oldest Spanish settlement in the Republic. In its tempestuous era of time, this peaceful-looking metropolis has battled with hurricanes from the sea and plagues from the land. It has been repeatedly sacked by pirates and buccaneers, and it has been bombarded by foreign fleets. But through it all, Veracruz has valiantly survived. As in all typically Spanish towns, the center of social life is to be found in the main plaza, where on Sundays and holidays one may see a very colorful gathering. But the time of our visit happens to be just an ordinary working day, during the hour of siesta, when human life is almost at a standstill, and only gringos venture forth in the noonday sun. Overlooking the plaza is the Municipal Palace, construction of which was begun just 17 years after Columbus discovered America. It is said to be the first and oldest city hall in this hemisphere. Another picturesque landmark in the plaza is the Church of Our Lady of the Assumption, occupying the site of a similar edifice erected by the Spaniards soon after they sailed into the harbor and founded the town of the True Cross. A glimpse of the old residential district now engages our attention and reveals to us one of the reasons why Veracruz is credited with being more Spanish than any other city in Mexico. Regardless of what they may have done to the contrary, it must be admitted that the old Spanish conquistadores brought to the New World imperishable contributions from their mother country, such as architecture, music, and the spirit of romance. And speaking of romance, this colorful balcony of Spanish tile affords an ideal setting. Although Veracruz has clung tenaciously to its romantic and thrilling past, it has not neglected its present or future, and ample proof of this is seen in the new residential section, where spaciously paved thoroughfares lead to elaborately constructed homes, traditionally Spanish, yet modern in architectural design. The sight of an attractive home, regardless of where it is, arouses in us a natural longing for home sweet home. But thanks to that substituting institution, known as a hotel, we find momentary respite and consolation among a people who know how to entertain visitors. Dancing is an inherent tradition here, where even the children learn to dance as soon as they are able to stand on their feet. And now let us observe this happy and carefree bevy of Veracruz maidens who find pleasure in the more simple diversions of life and take great pride in the preservation of the legends and traditions which they inherited from their ancestors. A typically Mexican dancing stunt, which has not lost its popularity in Veracruz, is known as the bow dance, in which the dancers attempt to tie a bow with their feet while dancing. Although it may look simple, it is really a very difficult feat for feet to perform, and that's not meant as a pun. Just watch it, and if you're inclined that way, choose a partner and try it yourself sometime. That proves there's more than one way of getting a bow. And now we go for a swim on the famous Mocamba Beach, where we find excellent bathing in water that's just the right temperature for us. Perhaps the most popular diversion as well as occupation in Veracruz is fishing. As a commercial enterprise, it is one of the leading industries of Mexico. In fact, a large amount of the fish that is consumed in the Republic comes from Veracruz. Net fishing is usually performed along the beaches, which are drawn with huge nets that often encompass a half-acre of sea in one draw. This style of fishing is usually performed at late twilight or early dawn. The nets are all hand-woven by the fishermen themselves, and some idea of the size of these nets is illustrated here, where we see hundreds of yards of netting spread out to dry. Aside from commercial fishing, Veracruz is a veritable paradise for amateur fishermen who come here from all parts of the country to indulge in their favorite pastime. And now we are about to witness a most humiliating scene, for this overconfident fisherman has promised his lady companion that he is about to catch the largest fish that ever came out of an ocean on a fisherman's line. And here it is. Is he embarrassed? It's about the smallest specimen to be found in the Gulf of Mexico. But here is something more like it. And they get bigger and bigger. And so the fishing goes in the historic waters around Veracruz, waters that abound in fish as well as relics of history. For down deep on the ocean floor, over which fishermen silently cast their lines, there may be found a scattered assortment of iron and stone cannonballs, bayonets, and numerous other relics of a stormy past that gringos like to hear about when they visit Veracruz.